Good afternoon. My name is Juan Sando with Nebraska Enterprise Fund. I am a loan officer. I'm covering the Northeast Nebraska region. I'm happy to be here and actually to have Jim. And thank you to do this space because they are providing this information to a lot of micro entrepreneurs in the area. So today we're going to have a very interesting topic: record keeping. And record keeping is basically how we can do a better job controlling in keeping all the records about all the bills, time cards, receipts, and everything that you had to do in your business. So there are many times that record keeping will be crucial for your business. It can be an opportunity to maybe apply for a loan. If you do a really good job keeping track of all your expenses and some other documents that you need in your business. But at the same time, like for example, during COVID-19, businesses that have financials ready and have all the documentation ready, they were in a better position to apply for grants or to apply for any assistance that was available. The other thing that is interesting about record keeping, it is that the better job that you do keeping or maintaining all the paperwork current, they actually the better opportunity to save money when you have to take your financials to your accountant or the bookkeeper, because the more organized that you are, the less money that you're going to pay them to do the taxes. So today we are going to talk a little bit about the objectives, about why we should be doing a better job about record keeping. And one of them will be explain the concept of record keeping and the importance to small businesses. As I mentioned, it can be an opportunity to maybe apply for loan, maybe apply for grants if there is any. Most of the for-profit businesses, they don't see a lot of opportunities for grants, but once in a while there is one that is available. Identify record-keeping practices, rules, and tools commonly available to small businesses, and explain how record-keeping practices, rules, and tools work. Other objectives: identify benefits a small business derives from proper record keeping, explain record keeping basics for a small business, and identify software products available for small business record keeping. So record keeping is, it can go in different ways. You can maybe do it manually, and you can have a lot of papers. You can have a folder and start doing your accounting on paper. But also you can use tools like Excel spreadsheets, or you can go in a more sophisticated mode using a program like Quicken or QuickBooks and some others. So the best question is, what do you know about record keeping? And what do you know or want to learn about record keeping? Is there anybody in the audience that maybe would like to share some information about the importance of record keeping? And somebody should be watching for the chat if there is any question. But so record keeping, as I mentioned, it is important because it gives us the opportunity to keep the numbers ready and available when we need it. One of the stories that I hear one time when we were doing a QuickBook class was one of our instructor that was doing a QuickBook class actually was visiting a client that he was an electrician, and he was really busy. He was working every day, 8 to 10 hours a day. And he actually called the bookkeeper and said, I don't know what's going on, but I don't have money on my bank account. So the bookkeeper went and actually she run a report on QuickBooks, and she found 5 pages of projects that he was not collecting money. And so she actually said, well, you don't have money in your bank account because you are not sending invoices and you are not getting your money. from your clients. And they said, this is a practice that you need to do. And she said, if you don't start collecting those, sending invoices or keeping a better record of your books, number one, you're not going to have any money to run the business. Number two, I'm going to talk to your wife and she will be making those calls, but she will be making those collection calls. And actually next time she went and visited him, 2 weeks later, he actually have 3 pages and he continued working on that. So you see the importance about sending invoices, keeping the receipts, and doing a better job keeping all the financials ready. So record keeping is important for all businesses. It really doesn't matter, and all the small businesses, it really doesn't matter if you're a sole proprietor, a partnership, or a corporation. As I mentioned in the past, the better job that you do keeping all the records updated, the more successful that you're going to be. And actually, record keeping is important too because it actually helps you to make decisions for the business. When you have good financials, then you have an opportunity to do more, buy more equipment, buy inventory, and actually those things you have additional inventory, it can actually translate into having more sales and do a better job in your business. So one more time, what is record keeping? The orderly and disciplined practice of storing business records. As I mentioned in the past, it can be from maybe having a manila folder, maybe a notebook, keeping everything on paper, to more sophisticated software programs as Quicken and QuickBooks, and actually provides fast retrieval of records and updated on an ongoing basis. So sometimes, as you mentioned, sometimes you don't know what is going to happen next day, and maybe there is an opportunity for a grant or loan or anything, and you don't have the financials, then you have to send it to your bookkeeper, send it to your accountant, and it might take a while before they will send it back. And sometimes by the time that you get it back, there's no opportunity, or there's no money available, there's no grants, or there is no anything that you can do with that information. So that is why it's important to have all that information ready and updated. And this is important to remember that you keep good records. It's actually, or that you have to keep good records not only on your business but also on your personal life. Sometimes you as a business owner, you cannot do a really good job keeping a budget or keeping your personal financials updated or sending payments on times. It is going to be really hard for you to manage your business financials. So that is a practice, and that is a practice that you have to do, and you have to do it every day, and you have to spend time doing it every day. But it is a really important tool for business. Why is important? Because business operation, you will be able to track in details. You will be able to maybe, if you have good records, you will be able to track like maybe account payables, or when do you have to send the money, or collectibles, how many projects you are not receiving the money, how late they are they 30 days, 45 days, 90 days, 120 days. So that is an opportunity to do a better job too, and do some planning too. So in actually, it would be a good practice to even go further and maybe decide what you want to do. Is, maybe it is a good practice to, after you complete a project, 2 or 3 days later to submit an invoice, or even if you have a bill that is coming in the mail, that 2 or 3 days after that, you will be able to send a check, so you won't be late. Especially during this time that maybe bills are getting a little bit late. It's taking a little bit more time to get processed in the mail. I was talking about this morning that I was expecting a letter from Omaha, and it was 8 days today. and I haven't get it yet. So that's another thing. You have to submit payments in the mail, taking consideration that it's going to take probably about 7, 8, 9 days before you can get there. So, and you don't want to pay extra fees because the payment is not getting on time. Or actually, if you have to invoice clients, that's maybe a practice that you need to do. Maybe have a business policy about what you're going to do if people pay you late too. So another thing that record keeping is important is because some legal contracts, licenses or permits. Remember, if you are not keeping control about the permits and the licenses, it can be as bad as, you know, that an organization or your business will be closing because you never submit a payment on time, or you didn't know that you had to make a payment. And actually, another thing is important is payroll and personal. Very important to making sure that you have money available to pay or to make payroll. Keep all kind of records about your personal is no matter what is, maybe because you have to send W-2s and 1099s on contractors. So all that information is crucial to the daily operation of the business. And also, you know, for federal, state, and local taxes, especially as I mentioned, during this time that it is taking a little bit longer in the mail. So business operation and tracking details, record keeping is really important to know or to have information about your customers, phone numbers, email addresses, addresses in general, especially if you're going to do like any marketing campaign, or you're going to do anything to promote your business, then you have all that information available when you are ready to submit the information, or when you're ready to promote, or maybe create a flyer or something like that. Sales records too, very important where you are planning for the business, especially for businesses that are seasonal. So let's say, for example, you can come back to the record for the previous year and you say, you know, like maybe spring and summertime is when you have really a lot of sales, but then you want to plan about winter time, and you know that maybe that's the time that you need additional money in your bank account because sales are not what you're expecting. So it's a good opportunity to track all that information and see what you need. Correspondence and inventory, as I mentioned, if you have good records, it will give you an opportunity to maybe reinvest the money that you have on your bank account, and maybe plan, especially like at the end of the year, if there is any opportunity that you need to update, buy additional equipment, or maybe you have excess of money, then you can buy inventory, and then after you buy an inventory, then that can move into sales. So I'm going to jump into this one. So some examples about record keeping will be time cards, personal files, contracts, inventory, personal insurance records, checks and payable, invoices and receivables, payroll, and that gives you how many years you have to keep it. So you see from the time card from 2 years to the retirement plans, the annual statement, and the auditor's report forever. So that is another thing. It is if you get audited, they're going to ask you for all this information. So in many times when I'm having conversation with business owners, they ask like how many years I have to retain this or that. So this is a good practice just to have this information available, so you know how many years you can keep this information. Record keeping tools. There's you know, like simple paper tools. Sometimes it's just like reminders. Sometimes you can just put reminders on your computer, or you can use a computer system that is available. Another thing is you can use accounting on cloud. So basically, sometimes you don't have your record in your own computer, especially if something happened to your computer, then you don't have. It's good practice to have that information somewhere else. Or if your computer crashed, then you have an opportunity to retrieve that information from the cloud or any other. And then you can do the file hosting in another location too. Make sure that you back up all that information on a USB, a flash drive, or any other. So if something happens to your computer, you have a backup that you will be able to get, or you will be able to use. As I mentioned, the paper tools will be as file folders, hanging folders, a cabinet storage, an accordion folder. I have seen it all. Most of the clients that I work and they are small business owners, especially in the Latino community, they like to do things in paper, and it's because a lot of Latino business owners they are not 100% on using a computer. So they don't know the technology very well. They know how to use, like the smartphones and things like that, but they struggle when they have to use a computer. So that's why paper is more accessible for them, and they like to keep everything in paper. The tickler system. Use the tickler system to remind you of upcoming events such as quarterly taxes, sales tax, for example, is another one that it would be useful. Payroll, license renewals, insurance reviews and renewals, upcoming deals and callbacks, especially if you have to, you receive calls at the end of the day and you didn't have time to return it. So you can use a tickler system so you can call next day or the next time that you are available. Computer system, in addition to paper tools, it takes less space than paper. A lot of times, we keep a lot of paper and we struggle finding all the papers because we have a lot in the office. So the computer is a better way to organize all that information. You can create folders in your computer and you can keep the receipts. Another thing that is important too, and I always mention it, is some of the receipts that you get when you buy items or in the stores, because of the paper, they can be there for maybe, like months, few months to a year, and then you don't have any information. So you get audited. Sometimes that receipt is blank. There's no any information. So another good practice would be to actually make a copy or scan that receipt, and you can keep it on your computer. It's a faster and an easier way to keep records. So you need your information, you can log in your computer really quick, and then you can get all that information that you're available instead of spending time in your file cabinet not knowing where that information is located at. Many businesses and government agencies allowed use of internet. And another thing that you can do is maybe like what I mentioned before, is just keep it on the cloud or somewhere else, because especially if you know that you can have potential problems. Learn and grow into computer system over time, especially if you don't know you don't know how to use your computer very well, or you need to learn more about a specific program. Take time to educate yourself about different programs. For example, Nebraska Enterprise Fund, usually 2-3 times a year, 3-4 times a year, we provide QuickBook classes. So those classes are available for micro entrepreneurs. So if you want to learn more about QuickBooks, we invite you to participate in those classes, but take time to educate yourself about those softwares. And as I mentioned before, be sure to back up files daily if you can. I talked a little bit about cloud computing, and is basically the use of the internet to store, manage, and process data versus your personal computer. It's a good way to back up information in another location. One story that I remember one time was the same lady that she does bookkeeping, QuickBook classes for us. She was she lived in Pender, and there was a tornado coming to Pender, and the first thing that she grabbed to the basement was the computer, and the husband said, like, why do you have a computer? She said, well, I have all my client's record right here, so I cannot afford to lose all that information. Sometimes we don't even have access to that. So even if there is a fire, a tornado, or a flood, or anything like that, and that record gets destroyed, then you don't have any information about the business.
Hey, Juan.
Yep.
We do have one question that's come in. Do you pay taxes on inventory?
You basically pay taxes depending of I don't know what kind of taxes she's referring to the question, but if you sell that inventory, then you have to pay some the client had to pay sales tax. That is pretty much what I'm thinking that she had to pay, but it would be just sales tax if she's selling that inventory. You're not going to pay any taxes on when you're buying the inventory, because actually it's an expense for the business.
And then we have a couple more questions.
That?
Yeah, we have a couple more questions. So why is it important to keep track of your inventory? And then is there a program that you recommend for keeping customer records?
So QuickBooks is really good. There is also an opportunity to buy like the POS system. The more sophisticated POS system have an opportunity to keep better records of your inventory, and at the same time you can print reports too. And you can do it maybe weekly, monthly, or quarterly. And then it gives you that information about what are the products that maybe are selling faster, and maybe you can spend additional tax dollars buying that that product that is moving faster than others. What was the first question again?
Why is it important that you keep track of inventory?
Yes. So another thing that I can think of that is important is some inventory get all fast, especially depending on what kind of business you have. For a grocery store, for example, that product will be probably expiring soon, so you need to keep record of that. So maybe you can have a sale, or you know, you need to maybe sell it at a discount price so you don't lose 100% of the money. For businesses like retail, like clothing, you have to do the same, because out of the season, and then that item will be stuck in the business. So that is good information. For businesses like restaurants and food trucks, actually the IRS is going to the businesses, and they are keeping, they want you to keep a record or the items that you are throwing away. If you don't have, if you own a restaurant or you own a food truck and you're not keeping a list of items that you're throwing away, then they might give you a fine. I have a client in the Grand Island area that was fined $500 because they were not writing down things like that. Clients like I have another one as a florist shop, and you know the flowers go bad after a few days. She had to keep records, so she will be able to deduct that in the taxes.
Yeah, one spot on. The other thing is, both in taxes and for good financial management, record keeping, it helps you determine your cost of goods sold and your waste. So
right. So waste is very important, and it's one of the reasons why the IRS will fine a business if you get audited. Any other question?
I think we're good right now.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to continue. As I mentioned a little bit, you know, the cloud computing and the accounting. you will be able to back out information in the cloud or a different area. File hosting, you can share with colleagues or clients and store large files, and you have a better storage in your computer or in the system that you're using. Sometimes you can have limitations on your computer. You can access the file anywhere too, and sometimes that's why the QuickBooks Online, it can be very handy, because then you will be able to log in any place, anywhere. Even when you are on vacation and you have a question about how to access some of the information, you can just log in and get all that information. No loss of files when computer crashes, in free and fee-based option, and you can decide how much you want to pay to storage that information. Business software, evaluate business needs. It is important that, and I always say this, making sure that you buy the product that actually work for you. Don't overspend money buying stuff that you don't need, or buying stuff additional to what you need on your business. And then you can use products available like spreadsheets, email, and any other accounting products. As I mentioned before, it will give you better inventory tracking, so you will be able to deduct waste and actually manage the cash flow a little bit better. Actually, manufacturing would be another one, especially like I work a lot with clients that they have to reorder products all the time. Right now, during COVID-19 time, there is a delay on some of the products. So having good record about what are you selling when you have to restore that inventory will be crucial right now, especially when products are taking a little bit longer. I was talking with a client, and they say like furniture, there is a delay on furniture right now. Appliances, any product that actually relies on in lumber, because the price on lumber will be very, very high right now. So it will cost you additional funds if you have to spend it right now, if you wait a little bit longer. So you can do e-commerce, you can promote your business, you can do advertising, you can send flyers, you can do any sales that you can, send promotions, pretty much everything. You will have the opportunity to have multiple users. Sometimes that is a good practice, sometimes it can be a bad practice too. Just making sure that the people that they're going to use the software will be people that you trust and people that will have a good use of that information. Because sometimes, like you don't want payroll or information about your employees available, especially about how much they make, vacation time, or some other that another employee can see. Industry specialization will be another one. Online options, like you will be able to buy or sell online, or keep inventory online, or anything like that. I have a question about a client a couple of days ago, if online businesses needs to register, and they need to get all the same permits and licenses that other businesses needs, and I have to tell this client, yes, you need to have the same thing. So it's good to have all this information available. Other important about business software and email, communicate with clients, employees, suppliers, vendors, contractor, etc. Use local computers or webmail, and keep good records by creating email filing system. Yep, all of those will be really important, especially if you have to promote a business, or you have to communicate with clients, or you have to keep in contact with clients and employees too. Business software and spreadsheets. track information such as clients, inventory, sales, employee time sheets, etc. Sometimes this is important because like many times you can come back and see how many employees do you need to cover a shift or come in a specific time, especially if you are able to identify what is your busy time in your business, then you can plan, I need more employees and I need more help during this time and less time during a specific time like winter or some other. Then you as a business owner have to utilize all that information in the way that is good for you. Matrix of row and columns, frequently used for financial what if scenarios. You know, what happened if something happened, like a lot of businesses at the end of 2019, we didn't know that COVID was coming. And what happened if I didn't have that information or I was not aware that something like a pandemic, world pandemic was coming. So business software and accounting track business financial records such as sales, expenses, inventory, and assets. In many advantages as reduced errors, it is faster, inexpensive, and better organization. Business software training, there is, if you don't know what you want or what you need for your business, you can explore different products and you can sometimes ask for tutorials or free time, or you can sign up for free trials. And then depending if that is a good fit for your business, then you can buy the subscription. You ask, for example, some of the people that I have assisted in the past, sometimes QuickBooks Online is a good option for them. Sometimes they just need to have the software in their computer. So it just depends. Every business is different, so you have to see what is good for you. Online software training and webinars, that's something that you can sign up, and that is something that you can actually go and get additional information about a specific product, especially right now with the technology. You will be able to sign for classes online. You will be able to actually get feedback from other business owners, depending on the industry, what worked for them or what doesn't work for them. You can have videos that you can download on YouTube, and you can see how you know, a specific software work. And you can utilize some of the resources like the small business resource partner like a SCORE, the small business development centers, the women business centers, the U.S. export assistance centers, the veteran business outreach centers, programs like Nebraska Enterprise Fund, in Catholic Charities, and any other. You can also get information in community colleges, and actually community colleges are great because they provide some trainings too for an X amount of money. Sometimes they are not free, so you have to pay some money to take those courses, but they are a great tool to learn about a specific products. And then you can get feedback from other professionals like accountants, bookkeepers, and consultants about a specific product if you see that it would be a good fit for your business. So the next step is now how you will be able to start. So the best thing that you can do is try to identify what works for you and how you want to do it. As I mentioned in the past, sometimes some of my clients say, I really cannot afford an accountant because I don't have a lot of money to start my business. And sometimes you have to see it not as an expense, you have to see it as an investment. So making sure that you know your accountant is the person that can give you feedback about how you can save some money. You have good records. I will guarantee you that accountant is going to spend maybe a couple hours filing those taxes or doing everything that they need to do. It's going to be the minimum that you're going to pay them. But the key is have all that information organized, available, and ready for the accountant or the bookkeeper. you don't have good records, like many times I sit down with my clients and we go through like preparing all that information before tax season, and then and they bring me a box full of receipts, and it takes me hours to go through everything. If you had to do that with an accountant, remember, an accountant will charge you between $150 to $200, so it can be extremely expensive for you if you have that all that information, like in in a box, or you haven't processed that information for them. Key points to remember: use record keeping tools that work for you, business type, the size, and the complexity of the business. There are some businesses that bookkeeping, having good bookkeeping is crucial, especially service businesses like construction, electricians, plumbers, and some others. So having that information and be able to process all that information is crucial for them, and especially crucial for the cash flow of the business too. Evaluate your business needs before purchasing business software. As I mentioned, keep in mind that you, as a small business owner, you don't have a lot of money to spend in a very expensive product. So before you decide to go with something, just go and check it out and get feedback from other business owners and other professionals. So it's a good tool for you. And again, start out making that decision about what works for you. And maybe if you feel that you are overwhelmed with all the paper in your business, it is time to transition. If you had to spend time finding some documents, or you cannot keep track or where the records are for your employees in taxes or some other document, then it is time to transition to something better that will save you time and actually work better for you. I think we have some questions.
Yes, we do. The first one is, does Square do a lot of record keeping for you? I assume Square, the service.
Yes, I love that. Independent of what you have on a Square, you can have the POS system that you will be able to print the reports. But also a Square, there is the back side. You can sign on electronic in your computer, and then after you sign on, you can do multiple reports: inventory, sales tax, sales, and a lot of that. So Square is actually a good product. And a similar product would be the Clover product, that it works well too.
All right. Is the sales and use tax form change? Okay. Is the sales and use tax form changed each year?
No, most of the time they don't change. Depending, the only time that they will change is maybe if the city is doing anything different. Most of the cities, they charge 5.5, and then the city charge like a local tax. Sometimes the cities use occupational tax or any other tax for different projects. For example, I live here in the city of Norfolk, and they use occupational tax for the library and to build other projects. So you have to always keep that in mind, or keep it updated, but they don't change all the time. And you can go to the Nebraska Department of Revenue website and you can get information about if something have changed. Another thing that is important too, if you are a business that is traveling, then if you go and you do sales in Omaha, Fremont, Rhode Island, and Norfolk, there is food trucks that travel all the time. You have to keep a system that is updated with all the tax information, because the tax, the sales tax in Norfolk will be different than Columbus and Fremont or Omaha.
Next question is, do you know of any local training on Square that isn't very expensive?
No, that is a good question. I don't know. I think most of the information will be online, especially for product like a Square. I have never seen any. Jim, have you seen any any training on a Square or products like that?
Not on Square, I haven't. So I know they have some. You might also check. I'm sure Square has webinars
Yep.
and guidance, so you might be able to pick up some of their webinars. And then just if I can jump in, where do we find out about the next NEF QuickBooks? We do QuickBooks training several times a year, and I am just a second. I can give you. We're finalizing dates right now. They should become available on our website, although they're not there now. I just checked, but the tentative dates are October 28th and 29th. And a second round will be November 17th and 18th. So that's, I'll put those in chat too. But you can reach out to myself, Jim R., or to Juan S. at nebbiz.org, and I'll put our email addresses in the text box as well. So it's Juan S. at nebbiz.org or Jim R. at nebbiz.org. Juan, back to you.
It won't surprise. Yep, and it won't surprise me that maybe you do you use YouTube to see if there is any training on a Square. You might be able to find something there too.
And I think I just want to reiterate, Juan made some really good points today, but record keeping is a whole range of things. And one of the important things, obviously, is taxes. And we've seen lots of businesses that get behind on their taxes, and that's the worst thing you can do. The IRS can come in and shut you down, and in some cases will, if you're not keeping up with your record keeping. And just adversely, you might be trying to prove that actually you've done everything according to requirements, but if you don't have the record keeping to do that, if you get audited, the IRS is going to go by their presumption rather than what your records say. But the other thing, and unfortunately the pandemic we're struggling with proved that, is we saw a lot of folks that didn't keep good records, so they maybe still got a little bit, but they didn't get what they really qualified for, or else they didn't get anything, even though in theory they would have qualified for some government assistance. The record keeping wasn't strong enough, so they couldn't prove that they qualified for that. So, and the third thing is, as we start to rebuild our economy and rebuild our businesses and restart our economy, we can use record keeping to help us use those records to understand what kind of inventory do I need, what kind of labor costs am I going to be doing, how do I manage my costs, how do I generate revenue, which product of mine is making the most money, and how do I sell more of that, which product's making the least money, and maybe how do I sell more that makes more money. So, record keeping has all kinds of great uses. It takes a little bit of discipline, but it more than pays for itself in the end.
Right. I think there is a question here. Does the IRS offer quarterly payment options for ultra small businesses? How should a small business compile those records during quarterly periods? So sometimes we have a lot of startups that we provide assistance. So sometimes you can use the first year of operation taxes to maybe estimate what you have to pay for the next years, or for the next year, the next fiscal year. So then your accountant basically is going to give you information about making payments quarterly. And they're going to say, well, last year you have $100,000 in sales. And then we are going to estimate that you have the same amount in 2021. So basically your the taxes will be this much, and then they divide it in the quarterly payments, and they print the vouchers for you, and all you have to do is at the end of the quarter you just send that payment, and then you don't have to wait until you file at the end of the fiscal year, and then you will get surprised that you have to pay $10,000 to $15,000 to the IRS. So keeping that, making quarterly payments will save you a lot of headaches. And also it will give you the opportunity to keep all that record updated, and give you an opportunity to manage your money well. And then you can use that those funds for inventory, equipment, or anything else that you need, instead of at the end, after is the end of the year, and then you had to pay $10,000 to $15,000 to the IRS. You were able to maybe buy additional inventory for the business or update your equipment, and having a smaller tax consequences. Any other question?
I have someone asking about, I think, the QuickBooks questions. Is the sign up on the NEF website? Where's the training taking place? What amount of time daily would someone need to set aside for the training?
It's not on the website yet. It will be. You can reach out to either Juan or myself if you want to get, or to BC Clark, bcc@netbiz.org. And actually BC would be the best person to, if you want to save a spot. It's 2 full days, but our trainer will take you from the very beginning of QuickBooks all the way to how to set up credit cards, how to manage client accounts, all kinds of stuff. He's really, really good. Juan's been through the training as well, and it's well worth the time. You're going to come out knowing a whole lot more about QuickBooks, even if you think you know a lot now. Jacob is his name. He'll answer specific questions. He'll take the time, to help you understand any aspect of QuickBooks that's there. So, Juan, I don't know if you have anything else to say. Yeah.
Well, and
okay.
Actually, when you go through the class, it's not just basically going to an accounting or learning a software. He used examples, real examples about his clients, and he provide you information about good practices for your business. So it's kind of having a small business class with a QuickBook class all together. So that's why it's worth it. So you're able to spend some time attending this. I highly recommend it.
Is the class going to be online, or is it going to be in person?
We'll do it in person, Bree, because we bring in a computer lab. It will be socially distanced. We'll ask for you to wear masks, and we'll have the proper PPE available so everybody is safe and secure, but we will be following social distancing and other suggested safety precautions to make sure everybody is safe. That's why I don't know exact location. We have 2 or 3 locations where we can actually spread people out very, very well. So everybody will be significantly apart, and everybody will have access to an individual computer during the session, so they don't need to be touching other people's computers and so forth.
And then I think someone was asking how long do the sessions last each day?
Juan, help me. Is it usually 8:30 to 3-ish with a lunch break?
Correct. It's about almost a whole day. I would say probably 7 hours, 6.5, depending on the number of participants. Sometimes we have a smaller crowd, it go faster. He will be able to go through the whole curriculum a little bit faster, but usually it's 8:30 to 4, and 3:30 if you have a shorter lunch for a couple of days.
Yeah, and if you want to go longer, Jacob will stay longer. So if you have individual questions at the end of the day, and the rest of the class says, "Oh, we want to go," and you say, "No, I want to get my money's worth," he'll be more than happy to answer individual questions on a case-by-case basis too.
And I will drop in that if anybody is interested in Excel, DoSpace is running on Fridays for our lunch and learns at 1:00. We are running Microsoft products. We have Excel coming up, I think. I don't know. I planned the calendar, so everything is a little bit of jumble, but we do have Excel coming up. I believe we have pivot tables coming up actually this week. So if you've ever wanted to know about pivot tables, And then in November, we will have intermediate Excel. So if Excel is something that you're interested in, yeah, Julie is here. Julie actually teaches it. Julie's in chat. So we have pivot tables on Friday, and then we've got basic Excel coming up in October and intermediate Excel coming up in November.
And that is great because as I mentioned, you have to see what works for you. So for example, in my business, I keep records on everything in Excel. I don't have a lot of information that I don't need to buy QuickBooks, or I don't need anything more sophisticated. So you have to identify what works for you, and Excel would be a great tool.
Yeah, and Bree, if you want to get us your flyer for that, I know a lot of NEF clients, and some of them are on the call today, it looks like, but I know a lot of clients want QuickBooks, and I know Juan and I have both looked at finding somebody to do QuickBooks, so that's a great resource to have in DoSpace.
Yeah. Yep, I'll get that for you, Jim.
Super. Are there any other questions? If not, we just shout out to Bree and to DoSpace and thank you for all of this, and thank you for bringing to our attention about the QuickBooks training. This is the benefit of partnerships, is we all learn from each other, we all support each other, and we all grow together. And so Juan, if you have any closing words, I just really want to thank you for doing this. Juan has been on staff for the last several years at NEF and is a plethora of knowledge. So reach out to him if you have any questions as well. And again, thanks to DoSpace, and Juan, I'll let you close.
Yep. If you have any question, feel free to contact us at Nebraska Enterprise Fund. Also, I would like to, if you haven't liked our page on Facebook or the social media avenues, make sure that you do that. You're going to find workshops, you're going to find sessions that we do through social media, but also it's a great tool to learn about upcoming events and maybe information about some of the training that will be developing in the next few days or weeks. So reach out to us or like us on Facebook or any of the social media avenues. Thank you to DoSpace. Thank you to Jim for being here. And Coley, you have any questions?
Great. Thanks, Bree, and we'll turn it over to you.
That's perfect. I was just going to mention that on the 30th at noon, we will be having Elizabeth Yearwood with the Small Business Administration doing a webinar on startup business basics. Elizabeth is fantastic, and I would recommend stopping in and chat and viewing that next week.
Super. Thanks
Wonderful.
a bundle.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.